One's ready. Go! So you guys are going into Special Warfare Assessment Selection. It is an attributes-based selection model. What does that mean?
Guys, are we running right now to get fitter? Are we practicing running? Practicing.
I can't freaking...
So there's a holistic picture that we're looking for. The instructors are giving you input, and we're expecting an output. And everything is for a reason. If you guys haven't heard my spiel yet, everything that we do, every single exercise, has a connection to the job that you're trying to do. We don't want people at INDOC, Special Warfare Assessment Selection, whatever they're gonna call the new course when it inevitably changes somewhere down the road. I don't care what they call it. What I need is you to show me the raw materials for the things that I wanna build you into. Just like everything else, it's a crawl, walk, run.
I can run a keystone just like this. All the way to ATC, you never quit. All the way to ATC, you never quit.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. You're in the team room. This is your daily drop for the 7th of August. Sorry that we haven't been able to put any of these out. I don't think we got any this week, actually. Basically, public affairs, as petty as they actually are, has gone in and revoked my access to the daily updates that they provide everybody. So, which is amazing. Like, think about how wild that is for a second, that these are curated news articles that public affairs doesn't even write, right? Like some of them are, but mainly they canvas other articles and other news and that kind of stuff and put it together in a consolidated and curated form and then send it out or have it available. So it's not like there's any OPSEC issues or security violations or anything like that. They are just so petty that they have revoked my access to it. So we'll see if I get reinstated for whatever reason. I don't know if I got to talk to somebody about it, but so all that to say that it's not as easy for me to do the research every single day while I'm working and that kind of stuff to get this stuff for you. But you guys take your creatine, tastygains.com, get yourself some of their pre-workout gummies. They've got creatine gummies. They've got nootropics. They've even got hydration gummies. They are third-party tested, and all of their creatine gummies and their supplements in general have been proven to have actually more than what they advertise in there. So definitely recommend you checking that out. Also, we still have openings for the Operator Training Summit in Nashville, October 2025. The dates off the top of my head, or 25 and 26 October, I believe. So please come out there and join us. This is instructorship, mentorship, and all that kind of good stuff. Everything that you need to help you get ready for the pipeline, really. And it's just great to see everybody. We meet some really cool people, and we've really enjoyed the 3 or 4 others that we've done now at this point. So it's great. All right, so this is kind of jumbled up all together. It's a mixture of, because I didn't have time to put it into categories. It's jumbled up between joint news, Air Force news, space news, and then of interest. So we'll start from the top. The DoD to cut DTIC civilian workforce significantly. The Department of Defense plans to reduce staff at the Defense Technical Information Center from 154 to 40. Whoa! That's 154 to 40 positions, which is part of a wider reduction in force effort announced on the 5th of August. This marks another step in the Trump administration's ongoing federal downsizing. Okay, so that is pretty significant when we start talking about numbers. Whoa. That also kind of tells me that there's probably a lot of people that aren't doing a whole bunch of anything, or there's a lot of bureaucratic tape that can be and should be cut. So, wow, that's a wild ass number. All right. DSCA clears $104 million in foreign military sale of the M777 support to Ukraine. On August 5th, the Defense Security Oh boy. Defense Security Cooperation Agency approved a potential foreign military sale worth $104 million for equipment, repair services, and sustainment support of the M777 Howitzer to Ukraine. The package includes technical assistance and training and was certified to Congress under U.S. foreign policy and security goals. Man, I'm going to embarrass myself now potentially, because it has been a little while since I worked with artillery, but I'm pretty sure the M777 is a 155 millimeter. Could be wrong, might be a 105, but I'm 99% sure it is 155 millimeter, a whoop ass coming at you. So that's a pretty sweet piece of machinery, man. All right, next. Oh, emails coming in. Pentagon proposes early Columbia-class subcontracts. The Department of Defense submitted a legislative proposal to let Secretary of the Navy initiate contracting for up to 5 Columbia-class ballistic missile submarines starting in FY26. The effort aims to stabilize the industrial base and prevent scheduled delays. You know, I'm not a submariner. I'm not familiar with subs as much as some of my friends are, just because they were submariners. But I got to imagine that a Columbia class submarine is one hell of a badass piece of machinery, and is capable of some incredible things. Especially when you start talking about like how the Air Force does, it's 5th gen, 6th gen. We got the B-21, F-47, we got F-35, F-22s. And I know people joke that the F-22 is a legacy 5th gen, which I guess you probably could consider it legacy 5th gen when you compare it to the F-35. But like, and these machines are capable of some incredible things. And you start talking about new subs, it's impressive. All right, Air Force Secretary Mink concludes Indo-Pacific tour, underscores alliances. Secretary of the Air Force Troy Mink wrapped up his first Indo-Pacific visit, visiting locations including Guam, Japan, and the Philippines, Alaska, and Hawaii. He emphasized the importance of department-level exercise 2025 and deepening interoperability with regional partners. The whole department-level exercise, or DLE, is something that is a fairly large initiative that the service chiefs and the civilians are pushing towards right now. These kind of things have always existed, except just this is a new kind of name, if you will. All right, Incirlik Air Base Cable Team. Yeah, okay. This is nothing to... The 39th Communications Squadron conducted extensive fiber optic cable maintenance at Incirlik. Great job. Keep it running. I don't know what else to put on that. This is something that is newsworthy, in my opinion. We had 2 gate runners, one at Davis-Monthan and one at Nellis Air Force Base. Now, the one at Nellis Air Force Base, what ended up happening was a new Airman Security Forces person was working the gate, did not have a supervisor there, which is fine, whatever, she's trained. I guess a vehicle approached. He slowed down. He wasn't running the gate or anything like that. Showed his ID, but his ID was a state driver's license. She approved him going on. She cleared him to come on. And then he found himself near driving on the, I guess I'll just call it the flight line, driving on a flight line where all the airplanes are parked, and driving by the A-10s. Now, we didn't hit any A-10s or anything like that, and kudos to the maintainers that actually saw the civilian vehicle driving near the planes and actually ditched. They were in a military vehicle. They were towing something. I don't know if they were towing bombs or maintenance equipment or stairs or whatever it is, but they actually ditched the tow and hauled ass in their vehicle to go get this guy, and they detained him and that kind of stuff. Turns out he has dementia and all that kind of good stuff, which is obviously terrible because dementia is not fun, but So that happened, and luckily that guy wasn't shot and killed. So that obviously they need more training at security forces and figuring all that out. The other one happened, I don't know, a week or two ago at Davis Monthan in Tucson, Arizona. A guy ran, attempted to run the gate, hit the barriers and that kind of stuff. He was shot and killed, but it turns out he was a type 1 diabetic and was having, I don't remember if he had a really high blood sugars or really low blood sugars, but when you are a type 1 diabetic, which is passed on genetically, it is not like a type 2 diabetic where that is dietary and weight and all that kind of stuff. But a type 1 is all genetic. It's not like the person can do anything about it. They were having a medical episode, either high or low. When you get high or low blood sugars, you get really confused, disoriented. A lot of times you don't know what you're doing. If you know anybody like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so that was the driver of the vehicle and ended up getting shot and killed, which is, unfortunate. The security forces guys, I feel bad for them because, in hindsight, they're probably like, shit, man, I just smoked somebody who's innocent and was just having a medical thing. But to stick up for them, they were operating under the information that they had. They didn't know that, if you got somebody running the gate, you don't know that person's having a medical episode, or like the other one, that person has dementia. You're operating, you see a vehicle, which is a weapon, coming at high speed towards you. You do what you got to do. Again, in hindsight, everything's kind of unfortunate and all that kind of good stuff. But, the security forces team on that incident acted exactly how we trained them to do and kind of how we want them to act, so it's unfortunate. But all right, next, Cybertrucks to be used as live fire targets. Okay. The Air Force plans to procure 2 Tesla Cybertrucks as live fire targets at White Sands Missile Range. The vehicle's angular stainless steel build makes them ideal for testing precision-guided munitions and preparing for adversary use of similar vehicles. That sounds like an expensive purchase. I mean, in the grand scheme of thing, it is like budget dust in military speak. Like it doesn't even register on the Excel spreadsheets, you know what I mean? But it seems like maybe there's some ways to shave off some of the cost if you just get the bodies. Like, I don't think you really need the battery packs in them. I don't think you need all that other stuff. Like, if you're just looking at, using the angular stainless steel, then you could probably procure, a Cybertruck without the drivetrain, or maybe hit a scrapyard or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's, at the same time, maybe that is too much of a pain in the ass to actually do, and it's just easier, and they get a deal buying them from Tesla so that it's even cheaper. So, what the hell do I know? All right. Staff Sergeant promotion results are announced. Air Force officials selected 15,894 senior airmen for promotion to Staff Sergeant in the 2025 E5 cycle, an overall selection rate of 33.81%. Candidates averaged 2.73 years in grade and 5.27 years in service. Lists became available on the 7th of August from the Air Force Personnel Center. And some of you old heads that are out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about, the great staff giveaway. Several years ago, I don't remember what that percentage rate was, if it was in the 30s or even 40s. To me, 33% seems maybe on the high end, but that might be because in recent years, it's been a lot lower. But anyway, congratulations to all those recently selected staff sergeants. Golden Dome program discussion restricted at Missile Defense Symposium. The Pentagon directed that the Golden Dome Missile Defense Project be excluded from discussions at the Space and Missile Defense Symposium in Huntsville. The project, funded at $25 billion so far and estimated to ultimately cost $175 billion, remains under communication blackout despite high public interest. Yeah, well, those are some big boy numbers. So I'm not surprised that people are kind of like, hey, be hush hush about this, or gag order. Okay. Next, Air Power Chiefs warn FY26 budget may degrade capabilities. Lieutenant General Dave Deptula and 6 former Air Force chiefs of staff criticized the fiscal year 2026 budget proposal, highlighting cuts to the F-35 and the termination of the E-7 Wedgetail program. They argue reduced procurement could shrink capacity and harm deterrence. So I am confused then on the E-7 Wedgetail, because I keep hearing multiple things on whether it is getting put back into the budget or if it's been removed. I know that there's been a lot of people fighting for it to get added back, as well as people fighting for it to get removed. So I don't know any truth data on that, just the going back and forth between the general officers. All right, next. Democrats raise concern over $1 billion Qatari jet retrofit funding. Leading Democrat lawmakers question the transparency of plans to retrofit a gift Boeing 747-8 jet from Qatar into a new Air Force One. They allege up to $934 million may have been diverted from the Sentinel nuclear missile modernization program and requested full cooperation in the investigation. Okay, if it was moved, this kind of stuff happens all the time. Like even at a lower level, a squadron level, a group, a wing level, funds get reallocated all the time. So, is that big boy number reallocation? Yes, it is. But they've reported in the past that the Sentinel ICBMs, even if they did move them, the money, that the program's not going to be delayed more than it already has been. So it's still on track from everything I'm tracking. Next, Fort Stewart responds to an active shooter incident. DoD officials, including Army Brigadier General John Lubas, briefed the media following an active shooter at Fort Stewart, Georgia, where one soldier was killed and the shooter was neutralized. Investigations are ongoing with local authorities. Purple Heart Day observance. Jeez. It's been a while since I've read the news, obviously. The DoD commemorated Purple Heart Day, honoring service members wounded or killed in action since 1782. Secretary Hegseth and other leaders highlighted their sacrifices and the nation's gratitude. Events including visits to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to meet wounded warriors and caregivers. Next, Australia approved for MC-55A upgrade. The M55A is a ISR, or well, you guys know what ISR is. Electronic warfare kind of aircraft. That it's a civilian looking aircraft, except it has some pretty sweet ass capabilities. The State Department approved a possible foreign military sale to Australia on August 6th for the MC-55A aircraft upgrades, valued at $1.5 billion, enhancing intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities. This supports U.S.-Australia defense ties. The deal includes equipment and training. Next, Air Force completes Refor Pack exercise. The U.S. Air Force concluded the Resolute Force Pacific Refor Pack 2025 exercise in Guam, involving 300 aircraft and multinational partners. The 354th Air Expeditionary Wing tested surge operations in the Indo-Pacific region. Nope, we already talked about Secretary. See if I can say this right. Port Hueneme Airman identified after death. The U.S. Air Force identified an airman from the 346 Training Squadron who died during physical training on August 4th. Investigations are continuing. So I did look into this a little bit when I saw it. So I'm really sorry to hear about the airman that died, and condolences to his family. Same with the soldiers out on Fort Stewart. Missed that one. But So apparently this airman was doing his Air Force PT test and collapsed. People around him were trying to resuscitate him, do CPR and all that kind of stuff, and called 911. Ultimately, he was not able to be revived. So I can only imagine what the Airman NCO, Senior NCO Facebook page was saying about this, because one of the arguments against the 2-mile run was, oh my God, we're going to kill more people, which is kind of insane to me to actually think about. Oh, and hear people say, you're talking about 2 extra laps on the track. If those 2 extra laps are going to increase death on a PT test, then maybe you should be preparing for that PT test a little bit better and have better life choices. You know, it's wild to me that the amount of bitching and complaining about an extra half mile on a run that you'll end up having to take twice a year. It's not that hard. It's not that big a deal. Stop taking pre-workout before you go run a test like this. Like, especially if you're not in any kind of shape or your fat ass is just getting in there to do stuff and you haven't done any prep work for it. So pre-workout, that's one of the reasons why we have people sign when we do the operator training summits that they cannot and will not take pre-workout. All right, next, DoD's Beyond the Battlefield program engages students. The DoD launched Beyond the Battlefield, offering university students and educators tours of defense facilities to showcase non-combat roles. Next, LeapFest, L-E-A-P Fest, tests paratrooper skills. The DoD hosted LeapFest, involving U.S. and international paratroopers in Rhode Island, testing airborne proficiency. Competitors jump for accuracy awards. This fosters multinational cooperation and readiness. You know, I bet that was actually a pretty damn good time at that event. I wonder if they were doing just free fall or if they were doing static line as well, because then that gets really sporty, trying to get accuracy with static line jumps. All right, last, Bracer Forge builds warrior mindset. Keesler Air Force Base's 81st Training Group conducted Bracer Forge, a field exercise enhancing airmen's combat skills and resilience. Over 200 participants trained in the austere conditions. This is to help prepare for great power competition. Now, I think it's Pacer Forge is, you know, that Warrior Week or whatever that is done during basic training. This is Bracer Forge, which is kind of a similar thing, except like follow-on training and stuff like that at tech school or technical school, the one that you go to get your AFSC and that kind of stuff. So I think they're testing it out. Let's see how it goes. But we'll see. More to follow on that. Appreciate you guys being here. Sorry for the recent lack of content, or maybe it's not lack of content. Maybe I just feel like it's lack of content, but man, it's been crazy at work for all 3 of us, on the road and that kind of stuff. And then obviously losing access to the public affairs thing. It's not going to stop me, you fuckers, but it is going to slow me down a little bit, but that's all right, because I'll overcome it. You guys can't stop this. As much as you guys hate us, public affairs, we're not going anywhere. And you know what? We're better than you, and we know it. All right. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Visit us on onesready.com. Get yourself an Make Aspect War great again. And we just really appreciate you guys being here. All right. Later. See you.